So, good afternoon and welcome back to the Climate Hub. The Climate Hub is the We Don't Have Time's home away from home, here in beautiful Baku, Azerbaijan, where we're broadcasting live from COP29.
This has been a very eventful start of COP29, both for good and for bad. And of course, here in the studio, we've been hosting lots of conversations, interviews, and etc. And we're going to keep at it until the end of the COP. We have all sorts of experts from the climate space.
And you can find any of those sessions that you may have missed on our website, wedon'thavetime.org. But you'll want to wait to do that because today we have an amazing lineup for you. We're going to hear from some experts on green financing. Later on, we'll have a talk about the importance of engaging stakeholders of all levels of society to ensure that no one is left behind in the green transition.
But first, Ingmar Rentzhog, CEO and co-founder of We Don't Have Time. I'm curious, what are your takes so far from the COP? What are your hopes?
I mean, my takes is that so far this has been a very well organized COP. We had this power outtake the other day on Friday, and now on Monday they have fixed the electricity and that making sure that it's not going to happen again. That have not have happened in previous COP we have been in. So the organizers are doing the logistics very well. But it will not be a successful COP if the negotiations are not going very well too. And we need a good host for it, but we also need everyone else in that process. It's low expectation on this COP, so hopefully we can be up for a positive surprise. I still have some hope for that, but it's too early to say. Something we did yesterday, Catarina, where that we were on a field trip. And we were visiting those mud volcanoes. It happens to be that Azerbaijan is the country that have most mud volcanoes in the world, 700 spots. And those spots, they are spewing out, guess what, methane gases up in the air. And there seems to be a potential to plug those some way, transform those the methane gas to something else. And maybe I can just show it to the viewers here. If you see that in the camera, this is the bubble from the ground at the mud volcanoes.
Yes. Quite bubbly.
And here is what you can do to kill the methane gas and do something else with it. You can actually put those holes on fire. And if you do that, you're actually burning the methane and it becomes carbon dioxide instead. That is 86 times less dangerous for the climate. So maybe we should just go there and, I don't know, start burning the mud volcanoes or something like that. It's interesting to learn a lot about this. It's fascinating to see it just coming up from the ground here in Azerbaijan.
So, Ingmar, we started kind of formally with this campaign that we last week, Buy More Time, and we're continuing at that theme as well as part of our daily broadcast here at COP29, Buy More Time. What's that about, Ingmar?
It's about the long or short version.
The short to very short version.
Yes, we don't have time version. So the Buy More Time campaign is all about that we have very few years left to halve the mission and stay below 1.5 degrees threshold and avoid hitting a lot of tipping points. And a shortcut to be able to do that is to also start focusing on the short-lived climate gases, such as methane. And those gases are actually 0.5 degrees of warming. And the thing with short-lived climate gases, you don't need to remove it from the atmosphere. You just need to stop releasing it. And if you stop releasing it, the temperature will start going down. And that will give us more time to decarbonize the society. So Buy More Time is a campaign. You can sign a letter on wedon'thavetime.org/buymore-time. You can read about it, you can sign the letter, and we will send it to your country's UN ambassador. And the call to action is to replicate the Montreal Protocol, but do something similar with the short-lived climate gases. And it's a very hopeful solution. We have focusing it on it during the shows we have today. I think we have a show about it today as well. It's a lot of new learnings, like mud volcanoes. I have never known about them before. And many people, sorry for taking this a little bit too long, many people have been talking about methane for a very, very long time, but it's always been portrayed as a bigger problem to carbon dioxide or another problem. It's not, the way I see it, it's not another problem, it's actually a solution that can give us very fast results on the heating of the planet. So it gives me a lot of hope, and I think it will give you a lot of hope, but you need to read it. WeDon'tTime.org/buymore-time. So far, leaders from 40 countries have signed it. Everything from scientists to policymakers to just citizens on this planet that want a future. So we're waiting for the other 160 countries to sign it. Maybe you will be first from your country. Go to the website and find out more.
Well, thank you, Ingmar. We're actually going to watch the speech you gave a few weeks ago at the Tech Arena, talking more about methane. So let's watch this now.
This is the climate crisis today. We're kind of leaning backwards. And the more emission we put up there, the more we're leaning it. But we can still do this, right? The problem, if we pass 1.5 degree, and we're very near, we're kind of there, but if we stay there and we just keep going up, there is a big, big risk of hitting a tipping point. And when we hit a tipping point, this share will be very, very hard to put back up. So this is what we must avoid for the climate. And we have a cure for this. The only thing we need in order to make it is more time. We need to buy more time. And now we feel the resistance from the politicians. But when we're up here, they will not resist the green transition because the green transition are the majority. So the policy will change when the technology changes, but we need more time. So how can we get more time? The problem with carbon dioxide, when we emit it, it will go up. And it will stay up there for up to 1,000 years. Maybe we can kind of try to remove it, but it looks kind of hard to do it, very expensive. Methane is another greenhouse gas. It's a very common greenhouse gas. It's the second biggest contributor to global warming. And there's a big difference between methane and carbon dioxide. When we release this, it comes down again. On average 12 years. It's a big difference between 1,000 years, 12 years. So the solution here is that we need to stop emit methane. And if we do that, we can actually reverse global warming with up to 0.5 degrees. That is the time we need to do everything else, because we still need to stop the carbon dioxide. So this is great news. And where does this methane come from? This is one of the sources. Bananas. Waste, food waste. 20% of methane emission comes from waste. But guess what? When I arrived here this morning, I took the bus, and the bus in Sweden, in Stockholm, are powered with bioenergy. We don't emit hardly any methane from waste. So other countries can do the same. 45% from methane comes from the fossil fuel industry. And this is a lot of emission that is really easy to fix. It's just fix the pipe. Cows are burping 4 times every 5 minutes. Agriculture adds up to 40% of the methane emissions. Many companies working on this, where you have a food additive, and you give that to the cows, and they burp up to 80% less. So what do we need? We need to look at the fridge. All the fridges we had when I was a kid were powered by a dangerous gas. And when that was released up in the air, it was destroying the ozone layer. If we hadn't fixed it, we will not be able to walk outside today and show naked skin. But we're not doing that because the industry, the manufacturers of the fridges, the chemical companies, and bold world leaders met in Montreal, where they decided to ban freons, phase it out, put the funding behind it, and today we have perfectly fresh food and we don't use freon anymore. Isn't it great? It saved humanity once, so we can do it twice. And there is one more thing. This year in Mars, there was a new satellite launched that is called the Methane satellite. And it will measure open data where we have emission from methane, leakage, and we will know exactly where we need to fix the problem. We don't have that for any other climate gases, but we have it for methane. So a legal system, some funding, and the data is everything we need. And this is what Buy More Time is all about. We can do this.